Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have with us a filmmaker, director, and he has a new movie that's hitting the festival scenes right now. It's called Midnight Perturbation. I have with us Andre Harrison. Andre, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So, tell us a little bit about Midnight Perturbation.
Yeah, sure. Midnight Perturbation is a story about possession. It's a story where, but in a nutshell, an ancient rock is discovered. Inside this rock contains the blood of an ancient demon that feeds off of anxiety, guilt, and betrayal, which is all the things that is being exerted from the couple that discover the rock, and primarily the wife, and the husband has to do what he needs to do to save her and keep her from being completely possessed. However, the wife has some secrets that he doesn't know about, which is revealed as the story unfolds. So the husband has to kind of decide if he wants to save her or let his wife die.
Wow. Yeah. That's a tough decision, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what gave you inspiration to make this movie?
My favorite horror film is The Exorcist, I think. So yeah, it was a lot of I got to a point where we done one film which was kind of horror, but it was during the pandemic, and it was more about the pandemic and the issue of the pandemic. And there were some horror elements, but it wasn't like a proper horror film. So I was like, yeah, I want to do a proper horror movie, prosthetics and blood and gore and stuff like this. And I had to find the premise of what I wanted to be around. And I was going through all my DVDs and stuff and looking at the films that inspired me when I was younger to do filmmaking. And The Exorcist was one of those films. So I watched The Exorcist. I watched The Omen. I watched. No, I've seen him before, obviously, but just to kind of get my brain,
rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Exorcist. And also Halloween as well, to be fair, because Halloween it's not like they don't really tell you the story, they don't really tell you where Michael comes from. It's kind of it's up to your imagination. Because for me, I always see Michael Myers as being not completely possessed, but obviously the stuff that happens to him when he survives, he's not human. There's some
exactly.
There's something else going on.
Evil element.
Exactly. Yeah. So I watched a lot of Halloween films. I love Halloween 1. I love Halloween 3 as well, Season of the Witch.
Underrated.
Yes, very, very. So watching these movies as well kind of got me. Yeah, I was watching these films, and Midnight Perturbation starting to creep, and I'm very, very big into synth music. And there's a band called Perturbator, and I think at the time I had written the script, but it didn't have a title, so it was untitled or whatever. And then it was probably approaching midnight, and I was listening to Perturbator, and then I think the two words kind of connected, and I was like, okay, yeah.
It's an interesting title. When I saw it, I was like, Perturbation. I'm like, okay, that's a great word that no one uses.
Exactly. And the thing is that it generally does mean anxiety and stuff like this, and this is what the film's about. So it kind of worked, and everything happens at midnight in the film, so it kind of connects.
So production wise, you just wrapped up everything. You're in the editing, and you're going to be doing a premiere this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, how long did it take production wise from the concept of the script to right now?
This is the quickest thing I've ever done. So we started filming. The script was written in May, I think. And then, top of my head, May. It was cast at the beginning of June. We started filming on the 25th of June. And then, we had the premiere 25th of November. So that's 5 months. Yeah, so that's 5 months. Beginning to end of it was super quick. I would never do it again because it's very stressful. But it's a yeah, 5 months exactly. On Saturday will be the premiere. So yeah,
Now,
5 months exactly.
I mean, in that short period of time, I imagine it's stressful because I mean, there's no time for error. You're just go, 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 go. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly
yeah,
how he was. Exactly how he was. Like, I mean, we work with really cool people who are very professional, and you know, I can call them up and they can do reshoots. But we didn't have any reshoots at all.
nice.
No, I was just there's one scene that was a reshoot. But apart from that, everything was, yeah, it was me just wanting to make sure everything like flowed well. And yeah, uh, everything just worked really well. I was very blessed to have the actors on board to do what they need to do, and to know them the way that they, you know, to have the relationship with them, to call them on board to work for how they worked, and luckily we pulled it off. Yeah, in 5 months. So I'm very proud of myself, proud of them. Yeah, we're gonna have fun on Saturday, so yeah, we're good.
Now, a lot of filmmakers they have a set. I don't want to say cast, a set cast, but they have go-to actors, actresses, sound guys that they kind of use the same teams in majority of their films. Is that something
Yeah.
you do as well?
Um. Not. Sorry. Let me turn this off because I can probably hear this. Not really. No. Um. I have people who I like to work with, not on every project. Like, you know, I like to revolve and I like to network and meet new people, and especially because I test people to see how we work and stuff like this. Because, you know, I love horror, but I also like to do other stuff as well. So some people would want to do horror, some people would want to do like thriller or whatever. So it's always good to have lots of people who like to do different things. But there's but yeah, I mean, in terms of actors, there's a lot of people who I work with like regularly because they're great actors. I loved as a director and filmmaker. I always kind of, and a writer, I write stories with people in mind. It helps me to visualize the story. So I always go to those actors first before I go to someone else. And luckily for me, touch wood, they've always been the first people I ask are the people that say yes, I'll play the role.
I mean, it's definitely good to have that network. I can imagine in filmmaking because
Yeah.
you start, introducing new people on every single, even not even just the cast, but the crew. I can imagine, it's hard to work with everyone. Everyone start introducing new people all the time on a regular basis. Issues may arise.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. And obviously everyone's different as well. Everyone has certain skills, and like for example with this film, there's I'm trying to think. There's 3 or 4 people on camera. One was a student who didn't have much camera experience, but he was super enthusiastic, and his enthusiasm, because he was so hungry to learn, he was someone that I really liked to have around, because even though I couldn't physically do something, I could ask him to do something and he would do it, but he would bring his own energy and enthusiasm and ideas on board. So there's one scene which I didn't, obviously my brain I thought to film, but when I gave him the camera, he filmed the whole thing, and that's in the film. So obviously it's cool to work with people that but it's also cool to work with people who are hungry to learn and to grow as well, because you can make new connections and stuff like this.
It is, and it's just all about evolving over time.
Yeah, exactly.
People on. Now, so majority of individual filmmakers I interview are solely horror filmmakers, and you're not one.
No.
So what are some challenges of making a horror film that's different than making a thriller or a drama? What are some challenges, and what are some things that are a little bit easy, or when it comes to making horror?
I can ask the easier parts is because I love horror. I got into filmmaking, I think, because of horror, because I love horror films more than I do any other genre. That's the easier part, because that's what I love to do. If I write something, it's always going to be horror first, because that's what I love.
Mm-hmm.
the harder parts is prosthetics. And yeah, 100. Yeah, when I think about whenever I write anything, I'm like, okay, I write something. How am I gonna do this? And I'm lucky because my partner is a special effects artist. So
Nice.
I kind of know how much things will cost and how hard what is in my head will be to create in reality. Um, so that is the hardest part with horror. I feel like to really create, a creature or blood pumping or something like this to make it look realistic. It costs a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it costs a lot of money to look good and to look relevant to
Yes.
what everybody is accustomed to on Netflix and Amazon and stuff like this. So yeah, this is the hardest part to do something low budget or no budget, and to make it still look acceptable.
Yeah.
Is difficult with horror, because I think the times, like I grew up on the 80s horror movies and 70s
Me
horror
too.
movies, and those are really cool because some of them were quite trashy, but it was because they were trashy why it was good, right? I
It
think
was.
now, yeah, but I think like I watched Toxic Avenger, the first one, a few weeks ago, and it's so bad, but it's just fun to watch.
It
Um,
is.
but now I think people, kids these days don't watch movies the same way that I or yourself watched them back in the day,
Mhm.
So for someone to make a horror film to appeal to the younger generation now is you need money, and then you need to know how to understand to make things appeal to them, which is money. So it's hard. That's the hard part of horror, I feel.
Because I'm a practical, like I grew up in the 80s horror movies. Practical effects are what
Yeah.
make horror movies. And like I've seen a lot of the newer horror movies. Like I just seen the recent Thanksgiving Eli Roth movie.
I wanna watch that. It was really
Yeah,
cool.
good movie, good movie.
Okay.
But I would say 75% of it is practical effects, and those are the best
Okay.
part. But then you have the moments where the CGI blood effects are, and it just looks terrible. I mean, it
Yeah.
just looks, and I just think that it's kind of hard to do CGI effects when it comes to horror
Yeah.
because us horror lovers, from the 80s, we like the practical effects. We like this Tom Savini's and the FX. Like there's something about it that makes it look more natural. And when you have
Yeah.
that CGI blood, it just turns me off.
Yeah, exactly. Even like we were watching The Thing, I think last week as well. No, not the week before last week, watching The Thing. I know it's not like a horror movie, but
Mm-hmm.
um, even the prosthetics were there as well. Like like if you watch it by today's standards, obviously you can see it's not real.
Correct.
But it's never real anyway. But
Yeah.
you can see that it's I hope it's not real. But you can see that it's it's prosthetics and it's chemicals and stuff like this. Um, but back in you don't really think about that. You just go into the cinema and you just watch the film and you enjoy the experience. And that but now I think people kind of expect to have a certain level of how the prosthetic should be,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard to hit because it costs money, and it's not just making the prosthetics, but prosthetics fail. I don't go like too much into details, but prosthetics can fail sometimes, so you need to do stuff again and again and again, and that costs money to make it look the way it should be. So that is back to the original question. That is the hardest part, is to kind of make it is the creation of horror itself, like to make those horrific scenes, is it can be quite difficult.
Again, now as a horror filmmaker, you just made a horror film. Is it hard now because it seems like we've done seen a little bit of everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like people have kind of become desensitized to gore
Yeah.
and blood. There's nothing that shocks us anymore.
No,
Is it
exactly.
is it hard to come up with that creative idea or that creative scene that is going to make people like, wow, I've never seen that before in a horror movie?
um Yeah, that was kind of the first thing that in my head when I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do a horror story. Yeah, I thought of this, and then I'm trying to think of the best way to put it without swearing. I was just like, you know what? I
You
don't
can
care
swear.
about.
You
Oh,
can
okay,
swear.
yeah. No, I was just like, whatever. Like, it's. So when I read the script, and it was very different to what is now. And I was like, okay, how are we gonna make this scary, or how are we gonna make it appeal to everybody? And then a big part of my brain was like, I'm not too sure. But the other side of my brain, which is the musician side of me, was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just to, if people like it, fine. If people don't, fuck them. And that's exactly what we did. And we kind of, when I watch it now, obviously for me, because I've seen it so many times, I'm not scared. But there are a few scenes where I know something is coming, you know. But I'm looking forward to Saturday when people can sit down and watch it in the dark and they can't look at their phones or look at anything else, and they're fixed to the screen and enjoy the experience. Like I literally just watch it now because I'm rendering it, and it's fun. You know, it goes from 0 to 100 very quickly, and I'm really, yeah, very proud of it as a filmmaker. So, as a horror filmmaker, I'm very proud of it. So, yeah, I think the most, yeah, in regards to that question, I think it's very hard to do horror because people are desensitized, and what you need to do is just to say fuck it and do what you want to do, because whatever you think about doing is everyone's going to have an opinion and or have some kind of uh
They're
yeah
gonna say it. Yeah.
yeah there's going to be something against it anyway, so just do what you want to do, and if people like it, great. If people don't, fine.
Everybody's gonna say, "Oh, well, that's a knockoff of X movie," but like, it's hard not to be a knockoff of a
Yeah,
horror movie at this
exactly.
point. Like, everything gets inspiration from something that's already been done because
Exactly. Yeah,
it's been
exactly.
done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, which is good because there's so many great horror movies out there. You know, like I remember watching the first ever George A. Romero film. And I was super. Oh yeah, I was really obviously when it came out, I wasn't even born. But but I watched obviously Night of the Living Dead. That was when I really got into filmmaking and um started to study film and the importance of, for me, horror has always been one of those genres that depicts reality in a way. You
Hmm.
know, like it really, the human condition and what we're afraid of and how we kind of, yeah, hide behind veils and stuff like this. And horror, horror is a very um, perfect example of what we kind of try and do in the real world. But we create, in horror we create characters like Leatherface, for example. But like, if I'm to be honest with you, I know like three guys down the road that would not surprise me if like a few years ago, like, oh god, this guy's running down the street with a trainsaw. I was like, oh wow, okay, not surprised. Like horror is a way to kind of like get these energies that we have, like to kind of put it into narrative. Um, yeah, so horror for me, horror's been there a long time. Even with that film, sorry, the George A. Romero movie,
Hmm.
where like the survivor is a black male, and then he's killed at the end for being black. Like, I thought that, like, I watched that when I was super young, and I didn't understand it when I was really young, and then I watched it like, yeah, well, obviously growing older, and you understand the message, and I was like, wow, that's probably one of the most like dominant narratives I've ever watched.
Yes.
That isn't like super like look at me kind of thing for everybody. It's a very subtle, but it if you know what I mean. And it is yeah. So ever since I saw that, I was really into horror and how horror can really influence you in certain ways, and and is a big representation of society, but in a horrific way.
I mean, horrors. I say it all the time. Horrors are literally the do's and don'ts in
Yeah,
in life. I mean, and like I say, a lot of people who are Christians, they're like, oh, I don't like horror movies. But if you look at what the Bible is saying,
yeah,
you look at what horror is saying, it literally goes hand in hand.
yeah,
No, don't do drugs, don't be a bad person, don't have premarital sex, don't be an asshole, don't be a slut. Like those things,
Yeah.
if you don't do those things, you don't get killed, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the only
Yeah.
thing that doesn't is, don't be black. But
Yeah. Yeah. You be gone first.
yeah.
Or second, maybe. Let's see.
Yeah. But I mean, it just tells you. But that's why I like older horror movies because there's a message behind it. Don't pick up
Yeah.
hitchhikers,
Yeah.
Don't be breaking in people's houses. Don't break into a cemetery in the middle of the night. Don't
Yeah.
do these things and you'll be fine, and it's real life fear, and it adds on to, and I think horror movies at one time were speaking, actually, I don't think I know, they were speaking to teenagers, they
Yeah.
were actually, the cast, even though they were 35 years old, they were playing the parts of teenagers, and horror movies were meant for teenagers
Yeah.
to say, hey, this is a PSA of what not to do.
Yeah. No, I completely. Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, and I think this is like, I think it would be like jumping onto what you just said there. I think this is like a bigger situation I think that we're in now, because with social media and stuff like this and desensitization, like I think it's really hard to like create what we had back in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, before horror movies took a bit of a bad dip. I think after the remake of House of Wax, I kind of stopped watching horror movies for a little
bit. In
bit.
society, though, I think in society now, though, why horror movies are not as effective, because in society now, we can't judge people, or there's no, it's okay to be a slut. It's okay to be a drug addict. It's okay to be an asshole. It's okay to be a bully. It's okay to, do these things. We can't judge people. So like horror movies have been kind of politically correct now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel at the moment, everything is. Yeah, I think this is probably another conversation. But I feel like everything is a bit a bit of a mess, and I think that it's very hard to kind of put horror before, you could kind of, you had your characters,
Yes, you knew they were.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas now everything is kind of all over the place, and everything has opinions, and everything has,
who the good guy or the bad guys are.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think this is why horror works, because you have the fear, and you have the running to the walls of fear, and then you have the understanding fear, and you have how to defeat the fear,
Correct.
Whereas I think now there is just, there is fear, and then you become bigger than the fear, and so then it's not really horror anymore. And it's not just even the horror genre, it's action, and it's rom-com, like
it's everything.
Yeah, guys can't love anymore, so love still, like, yeah, it's all a mess. Sorry.
The one thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna top it. But like one thing I would say, like if you watch older horror movies, right? A man would risk his life to save a woman. It could be a complete stranger.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "No, you run, Becky. I'm going to fucking fight Michael Myers," and he gets his fucking head fucking knocked off.
Yeah,
And she gets away. But now it's like the movie Us with Jordan Peele is one that pisses me off the most, where the woman's like, "No, husband, you go and stay with the kids, and I'll go and fight this fucking monster." And it's like, that's not how it goes.
No, it's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, like for me, I'm yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just kind of. Yeah, I feel that at the moment we're in a very weird situation.
It's weird, yeah, it's weird.
Because I saw the Marvels the other day. Good, well, it wasn't a good film, but I like that everybody is, I love that guys, can be seen on the same level, and they should be, rightfully so. But I also think that in cinema, which is not reality, it's entertainment. There has to be stakes. If there's no stakes, if nothing can be lost, then what's the point of, you don't have any like exhilaration or like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? It's if everyone's the same, like what's the point, man? Like there's no, there's what's gonna happen, and that's why I think Marvel has hit like a brick wall at the moment. I think horror is on the verge of doing that, but I also see horror is kind of coming back a little bit.
It is.
And I'm very happy about that. Like I watched Evil, but yeah, like I watched Evil. Like I love Evil Dead. Like I love Sam Raimi. I love what he's done. Like I watched obviously the Evil Dead, the original ones. And I watched the Evil Dead Rises in the cinema, and I watched it at home. I preferred it watching it at home because I could properly dissect it. And I thought that was great. I thought it was a really cool film.
Amazing.
I preferred it watching it at home than I did in the cinema. And that was cool. I mean, I think we need more films like that. You know, that kind of like if you're gonna change the whole script in terms of what people are used to, you know, then you do it like that. You know,
Yeah.
you don't do it like the Marvels, but I know it's a different genre, but you know what I mean. Like, you kind
Or
of
the
just
Fast
doing
and the Furious
stuff
movies. I say the same thing about
Sorry.
about the Fast and the Furious movies. I stopped watching them like go because there's no stakes. You know what I mean? You know that Vin Diesel and his whole cast are gonna make it alive. You know, even people who had died, they bring them back. Oh no, he actually survived. Like in the last movie, like no, he died in the last movie. Like what the? It's like you know that there's nothing there. You know, there's nothing. There's no loss. There's no risk. You know that him and his family are going to survive every single damn movie.
Yeah, I stopped watching after Fast 5, I think.
Yeah,
I like, fucked off. I was like, hey, this is ridiculous. I'm not investing anymore.
All right, man. Well, so we're going to shoot to the fun part of the interview. I'm going to ask you 3 random horror questions. You ready?
Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. Number one, first one is what is one iconic horror movie that people put on a Mount Rushmore that you think is overrated?
Oh, it's overrated. Probably Friday the 13th, the remake.
Really, I actually like that one.
Yeah, I mean I like it, but I don't think it's as good as the original, and I don't think it's as good as no, not the original. Sorry, the remake I don't like, and I don't think it's as good as other remakes that have come.
See, I do not like the original Friday the 13th. That's the actual
Really?
first one is my least favorite. So that's my answer to that always. But I think it's my least favorite of any of the movies in the series.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I mean, like for me, I'm very biased towards anything made in like the 70s and 80s. Like as soon as I see that film grain and the sound on the audio, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in.
Who is your favorite iconic horror movie villain?
Villain. That's a very tricky question. Yeah, maybe Robert Englund. Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger. Yeah, the first film kind of scared. I saw that when I was a kid, so that kind of scared me when I first saw that movie. So probably him. Yeah.
We're on the same page with Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is my favorite horror movie character. Not my favorite horror movie, but my favorite character.
Same.
And the final one. Who's your favorite final guy?
My favorite what, sorry?
I said, who's your favorite final guy? Not final girl, final guy. So a good guy who made it to the end.
Okay. My favorite final guy. Probably Ash, Evil Dead.
That's everybody's. Yep.
Yeah, definitely Ash. Like he made it to the end and he made his own franchise. So well done.
Yes, I mean he is the original final guy. I mean,
exactly.
He's the original final guy. All right, Andre. So where can everyone find you, my friend?
So you can check me out on Instagram. What is your taste? Which is also the label of the production company that does Midnight Perturbation, Velvet Vinyl Films. You can also obviously find me with the film as well, Midnight Perturbation. So we're on Instagram, Facebook. And if you're in London, you may see me walking down the street, like say hi. But yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, my friend. Well, I appreciate you coming on the Horror Room. Everyone, please check out Midnight Perturbation. I want to say masturbation. I was about to say, but that's a different movie. But
Yeah, maybe it's a sequel.
check it out. It's in the film festivals right now, but you can check out the trailer on YouTube as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you,
Andre. Listen, you're more than welcome coming on anytime, man. It was a blast.
Thank you very much, and hopefully we have some more time. I probably have to cut it short, but yeah, no, really nice to meet you. Love your shirt. Love to have another one with you soon. And yeah, if anyone is in the UK and wants to check out Midnight Perturbation, I look forward to see you on Saturday, 25th of November.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.